dining on ham. Well, that's very appetizing. Amber crystals. Golden elixir. Atrus, the Miller Brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it. Atrus, the Miller Brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it. Few pages out of an old encyclopedia. A Byzant from the Byzantine Empire, a coin often used during the St. Louis era. Lord Mortimer certainly has a taste for staging rooms. all eyes size you up. Chances are, that's the room my mother spoke of. And she also spoke of a Medusa. Should I go and try to find the creature now? Allegory regarding the decoration of the rights of men. That's the least you could say. Liberty or Death by Regnault. Well, I'll take liberty, please. But I do understand his choice, even though it seems radical. Ah, a painting by Ingres. Molière dining with Louis XIV. The king's posture is surprising. It's almost as if he's addressing someone in the assembly. Celia. That name means nothing to me. Christ Crucified by Velázquez. Look, someone's left a note there. Reserved for the Duke of Alcudia. Song of Roland. Roland feeleth his death is near, his brain is oozing by either ear. With his brain oozing, it's already remarkable that he can feel anything. Ah, François Ier, Receiving the Holy Family, a painting by Raphael. A fragment of amber. The Fall of Phaeton, another painting by Rubens. Poor Phaeton, struck by lightning for borrowing his father's chariot and losing control of it. Moral, don't steal Dad's chariot. Amber crystals. The Company by Rembrandt. The Company by Rembrandt. A meeting between Louis XIV and Philippe V. I wonder why Mortimer's particularly fond of this painting. A Bazant. The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. The last day before his crucifixion, Jesus announces that he will be betrayed by one of his disciples. painting with no name. Honey, I couldn't have hoped for better. Golden elixir. Consume without excess. Devil's Thorn. I'll keep it. Devil's Thorn. I'll keep it. Devil's Thorn. I'll keep it.
I've got to find out what Mother was trying to do with her. The Medusa. A hero armed with a sword? A hero with a lantern. And the last one holding a shield. I'll stake my life on it. All the statues form a single scene together. The poor devils are about to face the beast. Let's give them a helping hand. This hero is the only one holding a weapon. It seems obvious that he's the one whose job is to cut off her head. So, sword toward the Medusa. When I see the lantern and the shield, I can't help thinking back to my childhood. Mr. Dorfer, our teacher. As soon as the sun came out, I got a kick out of distracting him with the inkwell by deflecting the light with it. I'd turn it in such a way as to direct a spot of light onto his face, not strong enough to dazzle him, but just enough to annoy him. Hey, what if I tried to annoy the Medusa with the lamp on the shield? Position it just right, and it might work. This hero is the only one holding a weapon. It seems obvious that he's the one whose job is to cut off her head. So, sword toward the Medusa. Origin of myths, a reinterpretation of legendary creatures. just what I need. The text is in French on the left-hand page and in Latin on the right hand. Let's find the chapter on the Medusa. Hang on. This version is significantly different from the regular one. It recounts how men have always belittled women in society. Harpies, mermaids, the chimera, the hydra, the gorgons. Ah, the section on the Medusa. While some of the heroes divert attention from the gorgon, the hero with the sword brandishes his weapon at the Medusa.
It looks right, but nothing's happening. Maybe, in this position, the hero with the shield is just dazzling his colleague.
If I respect the legend, I have to place the hero holding the shield in front of the Medusa. Except for here, it doesn't work. There must be something else. This hero is the only one holding a weapon. It seems obvious that he's the one whose job is to cut off her head. So, sword toward the Medusa. There's an extra line in the Latin translation. The night light was reflected in the shield and blinded the monster. So the hero with the sword seized the opportunity and cut off its head. If I respect the legend, I have to place the hero holding the shield in front of the Medusa. Except for here, it doesn't work. There must be something else.
For Pete's sake, Emily! You scared the pants off me. Don't ever do that again.
Well, keep your nose out of my business.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Stop fooling around and tell me what you're doing here.
I've discovered a hidden message from my mother. She explains how to find the secret room. Something must have attracted her here, so I've come to check it out. And you? What brings you here?
My, you're curious.
Let me guess.
Go on then, impress me.
You're spying on Mortimer, right?
Everyone is spying on Mortimer.
Shall I take that for a yes?
Take it as you please, but I wouldn't be surprised if all the guests were around here somewhere searching the manor. Well, no matter. I'll tolerate your presence this one time. Now, since you're here, make yourself useful. Look around on your side. I'll do the same on mine. And if you find anything of interest, let me know.
Oh yeah, in your dreams. At your service, madam. The heavenly symbols refer to Pandora's box. Emily, I'm pretty sure I've got Pandora's box.
Of course you have. You see an earthen pot and you immediately assume it can only be Pandora's box. Logical. What I like about you, Louis, is that you never fail to surprise me.
Emily, what if I open the jar? Would that then make man responsible for all the evils?
Try. It'll make a change. All right, can we move on now?
I do love your irony, but honestly, are you ever impressed by anything you see?
By a chamber pot? No, you really do need to do better than that.
A golden fleece.
It's freezing. Hurry up.
Cold? You want a rug? It'll warm you up.
I wouldn't be caught dead in that horrible thing.
That's a pity. The gold color brings out your eyes.
And your flattery brings out your boorishness.
A Greek drachma. One of the rare ancient coins to be mentioned both in the Bible and in the Quran. An unofficial gospel? You'd be more likely to find this kind of book at the Vatican.
Nothing special. The library at Buckingham has 3.
The Gospel according to Judas, or How to Crucify Jesus as part of God's plan. You do realize that the contents of this book could undermine the very foundations of Christianity.
One more reason to leave it in the secret room of a lost manor on a private island.
Do you realize how important this book is?
Of course, but what I really want to know is how did it come into Mortimer's possession?
I was thinking the same thing about all the paintings and sculptures in the manor. Gee, is there anything England doesn't have yet? Wait, yes, there is. The United States.
Well, not yet. Besides, as far as I know, they don't speak French in the United States.
Amber.
something interesting. A manor in Maine, hundreds of acres of land in Catalonia, properties in Shanghai. Incredible. Some of these deeds are over 600 years old, and all signed by the hand of Mortimer.
I wonder if that's what inspired my mother's attention. How come all these documents have Mortimer's signature on them?
Do you think all these properties really belong to him?
See those fine scratches around the words?
Yes, and?
The ink barely spreads on the paper. It spreads exactly the same way on the signature. The deed was written using the same ink. If it is a fake, then it's a professional job. Several people have played the part of Mortimer, a part that has been passed down from generation to generation. Different men, but with one sole identity.
An intriguing hypothesis, and yet less twisted than some of my previous cases.
At last, you finally agree with me about something.
These documents are intriguing, but do you really think that's what attracted your mother's attention here?
I don't know. She was obsessed with Mortimer, and I must confess, these property deeds are troubling.
If that's the case, why would she have left them?
Once again, I don't know. We'll have to ask her when we find her. And what's your take? How did Lord Mortimer get all this? It's just crazy.
Secret connections, money, or a well-kept family treasure passed on from generation to generation. Who knows?
That would mean some of Mortimer's ancestors lived before Jesus was born. I wonder why my mother didn't make it clear what she was interested in here.
She didn't have time to write it down, or maybe she wasn't sure of what she was looking for.
Or she wanted to protect her discoveries. It's disturbing.
You'll just have to search the rest of the room. Maybe you'll find something. What is that you found?
A cameo pendant. What's going on?
Nothing.
For crying out loud, Emily, you lunged for that jewel like your life depended on it. Tell me what this is about.
No. We just met, Louis. I like you, but I can't just suddenly open myself up like a book to you.
Listen, Emily. It seems pretty obvious to me that you haven't come here for... sole purpose of sampling Mortimer's cellar.
Stop all the clever evasions and just trust me.
And why the hell should I place my trust in you, Louis?
Nothing. I have done absolutely nothing for you. No to this, no to that. You ask for proof of trust, but when you get it, you turn a deaf ear. You are defiant, evasive, and paranoid. Go question your own motives. I've done all I can.
All right, fine. There's no point getting on your high horse, you know. So I'm wary, I grant you that. I'll admit you are fairly reliable.
That's it? I was expecting more.
Well, I'm prepared to trust you when it comes to choosing a French cheese. But I've nothing to gain by confiding in you any further than that.
Nothing to gain? Damn it, Emily! I'm only trying to help you. Stop needing to gain something all the time.
Because you think I need help?
Just like everyone. You have your strengths and your weaknesses. And there's no use pretending otherwise.
Ha! And I bet you found out where I'm weak, haven't you?
You think your scathing wit protects you, but in fact, it makes you blind. No sooner have people introduced themselves than you already see them in a bad light. You play the part of a strong woman, and yes, you are a strong woman, of course. But what I see is a sensitive young lady who lacks self-confidence. Stop adopting a defensive posture, and you'll see just how quickly new doors will open.
There is some truth to what you say. I might have some weaknesses, but I don't need your help to overcome them. And I'm simply not contemplating collaborating with anyone at this time. Do you understand?
I don't see us as partners for life. You won't owe me anything, you know. It doesn't commit you to anything after all.
All right, you've gone to a lot of trouble. You deserve an answer. I already have a work partner. I know my weaknesses. I don't doubt that your abilities will be of use to me, but I already have all that, thanks to my teammate.
Is there any chance you might tell me who he is?
No, I've already said too much. Consider yourself lucky I've even given you this much. It's extremely rare, believe me.
Come on, don't stop now that you've come this far. You know that eventually I'll end up making you talk.
Well, since no one can resist you, let's see if you can guess who my partner is.
You're a gambler. So, your partner is... Chances are, you're working with a member of the Order.
The only members of the Order other than ourselves are your mother and Mr. Washington. The former has sadly gone missing. As for the latter, I knew nothing of his arrival. Incidentally, you must have noticed how inefficiently our Order communicates internationally.
Your father. The force of youth combined with the wisdom of ancestors.
I never knew my father, and it'll be better for him if I never do find him.
Sorry.
I thought you'd figured out I was an orphan.
No. Please forgive me. I didn't know. Your sister. She's your partner. She's the one you're looking for.
Well, I am impressed. How the devil did you guess I had a sister? Virtually no one even knows. When it comes to getting results, you are... You deserve to know why the sight of the cameo pendant affected me so strongly. I thought it belonged to Emma, my twin sister.
Oh. Now I get why you said you had a memory for two.
Yes, you can't imagine to what extent, though. As children, everyone got us mixed up. So one day we decided to play along. Since then, we have become one and the same. We have officially erased the identity of my sister Emma. Emily Hillsborough. The woman with two faces.
Clever. But isn't it complicated? How do you make it work?
One of us has no existence in the outside world. We share everything. First for one, then for the other. We dress the same, wear the same makeup, we speak the same. We've learned to act as one. When we accept a mission, we both turn up. This time, though, she went ahead, and I was meant to wait for her on the mainland. She was meant to meet Sir Home and bring back the details so we could work out who would follow up.
And there was a problem?
She was supposed to return from Mortimer's 1 week ago. The boat turned up at Plymouth, but alas, no trace of my sister. Instead, a sailor passed me a message from home, notifying me of her sudden disappearance.
So, my mother and your sister go missing just a few days apart. That's strange. Maybe their disappearances are linked.
It's clearly a possibility, but up to now I haven't found a trace of either of them.
None of this is very reassuring.
By the way, Louis, now that you are in on the secret, you are obliged to keep it to yourself, or you will pay very dearly.
Don't worry. Your secret is safe with me.
It's time to leave.
So, what do you think of our first adventure?
I must admit, it has been fun by your side.
Same here.
Oh, she's been drinking too much again.
Louis, I need to talk to you right now.
Good evening, Elizabeth. Actually, this is not a good time.
I'm begging you, please don't leave me alone.
I'll be waiting for you in your room, but don't be late.
I was sure there was a certain je ne sais quoi between us.
Louis, we need to talk now. Otherwise it'll be too late.
Looks like Elizabeth really needs me, but if I start talking to her, for sure Emily won't wait for me. What should I do? Sorry, Emily, but I can't leave Elizabeth like this.
All right, Elizabeth. How can I help?
Thank you. Come on, follow me. I really need to talk to you, Louis, right now.
Does Lord Mortimer know the mess you've made of your room?
Listen to me, damn it! My days are numbered.
Elizabeth, I don't know if it's about my mother again, but I'm telling you, you've nothing to be afraid of. She didn't come here for you.
I saw her.
Saw who? You saw my mother? When?
Just last night. I went out to walk along the cliff top and I saw her in the distance. She tried to hide right away, but I'm sure it was her.
Are you saying you recognized my mother in the middle of the night? While she was hiding?
Yes, Louis. I know it was her.
You just said she was far away, right? In the middle of the night. And the exterior of the island isn't exactly well lit.
Listen, I'm telling you, it was her.
Did you talk to each other?
No, she was far away. I didn't make any noise, and then she was gone.
Have you told anyone you've seen her? Sir Holm? Mortimer?
You don't understand. It's her. She's here.
Yes, I understand.
No, you're not listening. The moment I saw her, I was overcome by spasms. She's here. I'm telling you, it was her. Yes, I need something to calm me down.
No thanks, I'd better not.
Listen, if you want me to tell you everything, you have to drink with me, Louis. What I have to say to you is of the utmost importance.
I'll drink with you, but let's go easy on it, okay? I don't know where she gets her rot gut from, but frankly, it's disgusting.
You know, Louis, when I came here, it was in the hope of getting help. I've only just now realized that I've been drawn here into a trap.
Whoa. The alcohol's gone to my head.
Here, the condemned's last drink.
Elizabeth, alcohol never solves anything. I'm gonna stop now.
Listen up. You want to know what your mother was capable of, right? You want to know the reason why. Well, you're gonna have to follow me to the bottom of the abyss, Louis. Either drink or get out.
Man, I need to take it easy with the booze. At this rate, I won't last the night. Let's go easy on the drinking, okay? Alcohol won't solve our problems. Ugh, the second one isn't any easier.
So, do you want to know why she did all those things to me or not? Even if it changes the image you have of her forever?
What was she trying to cure you of then?
of the one illness she never managed to treat me.
No, Elizabeth. I won't follow you.
What's the matter? Little Louis's afraid to look at the true face of his mother? You know my rules. Drink up.
No, I won't drink.
All right, Louis. Then get the hell out of here. You're incapable of opening your eyes, so be it. Get out!
Why the hell did I go with Elizabeth?
I could have spent the night with Emily, but no. I had to go play the night with a big heart. Oh, well, never mind. Tomorrow's another day.
Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
What the hell's going on?
You are in deep trouble, my young friend.
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible. Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet. Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. But an act of horrific violence occurred during the night. And I do not know if this is linked to the disappearance of Sarah.
What are you getting at? What act of violence?
We found Elizabeth Adams' body in her room. She was brutally murdered, stabbed several times. I'll get straight to the point, Louis. According to the initial elements at my disposal, you were the last person to see her alive.
Yes, last night we, Do you suspect me?
I want you to tell me everything that happened last night and leave nothing out. Tell me, how did the evening begin?
I was going up to my room when I saw Elizabeth waiting for me. She was very upset, and her words didn't make sense. I thought it best to follow her to her room, as she had asked me to.
Continue.
She insisted we have a drink, without which she refused to confide anything.
What exactly did she want to speak about?
About my mother. She had just found out that I was Sarah de Richet's son. Elizabeth wanted to tell me about the horrors my mother apparently inflicted on her.
Finding out that your own parents had always lied to you. Well, that must not have been an easy thing to hear. But do go on.
I refused to go on drinking with her. She already seemed drunk and her conversation became confused. So, then she ordered me to get out. If only I'd stayed.
Don't blame yourself, Louis. How could you have known? But thank you for this new information.
Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed.
I understand. What do you intend to do?
I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why's that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi. So I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
Notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become infatuated with a fragile young woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say, Louis. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects.
Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming.
Which four-letter word could open this? Which four-letter word could open this? Which four-letter word could open this?
The nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781.
Great. Honey. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
Will you remind me of the facts we already know about?
Elizabeth Adams was killed last night, but Piaggi was with Holm and I until late at night. As for Bonaparte and Washington, they left us after midnight, both tired.
I'll be in touch as soon as I have any more information.
Chinese coin, recognizable by the hole in the middle. If I remember rightly, that's called a cash. Monsieur Johann van Volnau.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
I'd have thought this is not really the shortest way to get to your suite.
Yes, I wasn't really looking where I was going. I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. Knocked over bottle of wine.
Same thing Elizabeth served me last night. Still just as disgusting. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable.
Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15. Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe.
I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, and maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. Signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. What a strange smell. Laudanum. Certain courtiers use it to get drunk. If taken in large quantities, it can provoke fits of madness. Laudanum. Certain courtiers use it to get drunk. If taken in large quantities, it can provoke fits of madness. I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. At first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood, if the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. The wounds are clean and look like they've been inflicted by a sharp object. Some of the lacerations have damaged vital organs, the heart, the right lung, which is perforated. Most of them weren't given with much force. She might even have survived. But the stab in the heart, though not all that deep, sealed her fate. There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. Scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life. She had the Sigillum de Ameth tattooed on her, the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age, unless her mother was a tutor. Symbol of Masons? What's that doing here? ancient Greek. Let's see what it means. These are sacred chants intended to protect their bearer. But from whom? Or from what? No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. This pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body. Let's see. No trace of sexual assault or rape. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. No marks or bruising around the wrists. It doesn't look like she was tied up or held by force. Blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. June 11th. A pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light. Tribute engraved on the barrel to the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner. Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. It's a travel dress. The silk has been lightly waxed to protect it from bad weather. And I know the very woman who came up with the idea, given all the traveling she does. My mother. God help us. Why did she come here in the first place? The material appears to have undergone abnormal wear and tear. She must have been scouring the countryside, and that doesn't look good. Huh. The talisman that I gave back to Elizabeth. I can't exactly say it brought her good luck. A pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Contrary to what most people believe, a pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point toward the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil. Contrary to what most people believe, a pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point toward the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil. Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual? The clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of...
Has Sir finished with this room?
Do you know who could have made such a mess of this room?
Miss Adams, sir. We were given orders to leave the room as it was, so as not to rush her.
Did she have a fight with someone to get the room into this state?
Not that I know of, sir. Miss Adams would sometimes throw a tantrum, during which she would destroy anything that came to hand. Lord Mortimer told us not to enter the room.
Thanks for that information.
You are welcome, sir. Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
President George Washington. Portrait of George Washington.
Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost.
Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals. The English and the Americans are preparing a peace treaty. It would appear that Emily is in secret discussion with Washington about reopening trade between the United States and England. If such an arrangement came into being, France would suffer dearly.
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have a project to show you. It is time that the United States played a more important...
Map of Vermont.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
I'm talking to all the guests to find out who has an alibi and, well, who doesn't, Mr. President. Can you tell me what you were doing last night so that I can strike your name off the list?
I spent the night right here, reading.
All night?
Exactly. Emily stopped by in the middle of the night, you can ask her. She wanted to talk about some business we have in common.
Anything whatsoever to do with Elizabeth?
Not at all, Louis. A business matter.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Did she tell you why she was so desperate to get some, Mr. President?
She said she had terrible migraines that wouldn't go away.
More likely for the voices she heard, not the migraines. Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Do you take it regularly, Mr. President?
Unfortunately, I do, Louis. I still suffer from a terrible toothache, and it's not likely to get any better.
It's just for that, then?
Old age, my young friend. I don't wish it upon you, but you'll soon see. At my age, it's rare to have no problems in that domain.
And do you take a lot?
A moderate amount, Louis. Only the dosage indicated on the prescription of my doctor.
Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of.
I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened. And I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured. It looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue.
Monseigneur, His Eminence Cardinal Piaggi. Duke Manuel Godoy. Duchess Emily Hillsborough.
King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess.
Grammar of Port-Royal. Ah, the artistry of the French language in all its splendor. Whoever masters French commands the world. At least, une partie of it.
The Lady's Waldegrave by Reynolds, painted upon the request of the Waldegrave family, in an effort to find them a husband. Displayed like meat. It's disgusting. A fragment of amber. Tending children at the orphanage in Harlem. I find it a little hard to understand this painting choice.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace. So here we both are, hands and feet tied, and little room to maneuver. Keep me abreast of events. Our mission is becoming more complicated. Yours,
William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers. Madam, thank you for consoling the Queen. The King's situation is worsening, but I wager he'll recover from this present fit. Next time you speak with Her Majesty the Queen, would you please be so kind as to ask her to look into my petition to raise taxes with the King? Two coils circle the lock.
Queen Charlotte. All the royal family of England is there from what I can tell.
A letter from William Pitt the Elder, addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Madam, I shall never thank you enough for all your care and attention. I shall be indebted to you until my last breath. If you have any request of me, you only need ask. With regards to my son William, I shall never thank you enough for looking after him. You know the latter's preferences, and you will understand he needs you desperately. For that,
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times. No doubt she suffered greatly.
9 times? What monster is capable of such a horrible thing? Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Since your arrival, did you notice anything strange about Elizabeth?
Everything that happened around that poor child was strange. You saw that for yourself.
I know. You're right. I'm looking for leads to try to reduce the number of suspects.
Well, I would say that in addition to ourselves, you could also cross off President Washington. I went to see him during the night. I had some business with him, and I can confirm that he didn't leave his room all night.
That gives Washington an alibi. I'm now interviewing all the guests to establish the alibis for each person. Just so that I can cross you off the list of suspects, can you tell me what you were doing on the night of the murder?
Am I given to understand that I'm on the list of suspects?
Don't take it the wrong way, but I must consider every possibility.
Well, if you absolutely wanted to be sure of my activities that evening, you only had to join me, you know.
I know, Emily. Especially since I couldn't prevent the murder, even though I spent part of the evening with Elizabeth.
You're sure it's not too hard to bear for you?
The fact is, I don't have a choice. But I will find the murderer. I owe Elizabeth that, at least. Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
I hear you were in discussions with the Holy See.
either His Eminence can't keep his tongue from wagging, or you've been poking your nose where you shouldn't, sir.
Even so, Emily, you're raising a royalist army. That's no small matter.
And you are straying from the subject. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
Tell me, Emily, what's the nature of your relationship with Washington?
Oh, come off it, Louis. You're not going to go into a jealous rage, are you?
No, I can assure you of that. That has nothing to do with it. You're preparing a treaty to break the ties between the United States and France.
Whatever are you talking about, Louis?
I read your correspondences, Emily.
It's not what you think. So don't go thinking there's anything personal in it.
Are you trying to break Franco-American agreements, Emily?
That's the job, Louis. We're all doing everything we can to serve the best interests of our nation. It's got nothing to do with you or us.
But why didn't you tell me about it before?
Would you have told me?
I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since the blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is true, Emily, I'm less and less enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject. Since your arrival, did you notice anything strange about Elizabeth?
Everything that happened around that poor child was strange. You saw that for yourself.
I know. You're right. I'm looking for leads to try to reduce the number of suspects.
Well, I would say that in addition to ourselves, you could also cross off President Washington. I went to see him during the night. I had some business with him, and I can confirm that he didn't leave his room all night.
That gives Washington an alibi. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.